I was about 14, 15, party a little bit here, party a little bit there, drinking and drinking more and partying more and just experimenting with different drugs. And I never thought I had a problem. I was told by my doctor that I had a liver condition. So the doctor said, that I had to stop drinking or that I would die. I was pretty angry. And I decided that, well, if I had a liver condition and I was going to die, why should I stop drinking? My name's Rose, and this is my Easter story. When I was a kid, I was raised in a dysfunctional home. My mother was an alcoholic, and my grandmother raised me and a few of my cousins. There was always chaos in the home and always something crazy going on. Anyway, we were raised there, and there was a lot of dysfunction in the home. A lot of my uncles and a couple of my aunts that lived in the home were alcoholics, so we had to deal with that, throughout our lives. My grandmother was a Christian, and as a preteen, I went to church, or as a young child, I went to church with her, and we would go to church all the time. At that time, as a preteen, I was saved. God was in our lives at that time, and we lived through the chaos. So as I became a teenager, I started to get rebellious and run away from home, just to get away. So I would go to my aunt's house, and I'd go run away, and I'd go stay over there because she was really cool, and she, we had a really, really good relationship. And so after running away so many times, I ended up living with my aunt, who was in East Oakland. I was raised in West Oakland. So at that time is when my partying started. I started with smoking, hanging out with the wrong crowd, and just drinking. And my cousin lived upstairs, and so she introduced me to marijuana and wine at that time. We went in the back and we started drinking and smoking. I was going to school. I struggled with school, and I also worked at that time. I cut school a lot, but I stayed in school and continued, and I graduated high school. And during that time, I was still drinking and partying, even more so, and just kind of being crazy. Anyway, so I continued to party and do drugs, and I experimented with everything. I partied with my friends, and we were just kind of wild. And our life went on, and I was what I called a functional drinker. I would, drink, go to work, and come home and drink some more and go to work. I could always manage to make it back to work. I really never thought I had a problem with drinking. So I met my husband, Rusty, in 1984, and we hit it off really well. He was a partier, I was a partier, so we were the perfect couple. We dated for like a year, and then we ended up getting married. I continued to party still. I was just drinking, doing drugs, and we had a really good time. We had a good relationship. We bought a home. We had our station wagon. We had our kids. We had 2 kids, and everything was good as far as I was concerned. So we had a good life, and so it came a point when I was told by my doctor that I had a liver condition and that I had to stop drinking. I think that was my down point for me, because I never thought I had a problem. My aunt would always tell me, that I did, and I'd always brush her off and say I don't. And so the doctor said, that I had to stop drinking or that I would die. I was pretty angry. And I decided that, well, if I had a liver condition and I was going to die, why should I stop drinking? And then I decided that I really didn't want to die, that I did want to live for my family and, you know, my children. I kind of came to my senses after a while, but my daughter was attending Celebration Church as a teenager. We had some neighbors that lived across the street from us. They would take Lindsay to church. Of course, during all this time, I'm still home, I'm still partying, I'm still working, and I'm still doing my thing, still trying to stop drinking. So Lindsay would invite me to church every once in a while, and I went off and on. I'd go to church off and on, here and there. I know I was struggling and I knew I had to stop drinking, but I couldn't stop drinking on my own, so I surrendered to the Lord and asked for His help. It's funny though, I don't remember the exact time or situation or what. It might have been one of the days I was in church, I don't know. So after that, it was like a miracle. God gave me the strength. He gave me the will to want to stop drinking. I was still struggling with it, but at that point, then I signed up for rehab for drinking and drugs. I was doing marijuana. I was addicted to marijuana as well. So I went to an outpatient rehab, and I was able to do it. I was able to stop drinking, and I was able to start this rehab program. And it was pretty intense. I had to go like 3 days a week. I also had to go to AA meetings. During all of this too, I had started going to church regularly. And every Sunday, I would go to church, and I'd receive the Holy Spirit, and had a good day at church, and just really, really fulfilled and stuff. But when I would leave the church, I was like I was lost, and I think I was looking for a quick fix, thinking that, now that I'm in church, when am I going to be healed? When is this going to go away? And people would tell me it's a process, that it doesn't happen overnight. And I just wanted Jesus, and I want everything that came with Him. But it wasn't happening, so I was real confused. So I continued to go to church all the time, every Sunday. And as I started to become stronger in my recovery, I was introduced by a friend to a Christian recovery program. And at that point, I was looking for more of God in my recovery, and AA wasn't doing it for me. And this Kaiser Rehab, I was just about done with that. I think I did that for like 1.5 years or so. It was all a new way of life for me to relearn who I was, because I didn't know any other way. I was drinking from 14, 15 till I was 55. And so I've been in recovery now for about 6 years, and I've been walking with the Lord all that time. And I have to say that it was a miracle that what God has done in my life. I never thought in my life that I would stop drinking. I never wanted to stop drinking. I didn't think I had a problem. But God had another plan for me. He did take care of me through all of this craziness. I always think back at all the crazy things that I did and I got into. And I think back now, and I think, and I know it was God who carried me through so much. I could have been dead. I should have been dead right now. My name is Rose, and Jesus changed my life.